Here now. All right, so welcome everybody. This is Amanda Moxley, and today I'm excited to welcome you to this class that I've named Happy, Fit, Rich Speaker. Who wants to be a happy, fit, rich speaker? Put the number 1 in the comments below. Let me know that that is what you want. Yes, 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 yes. So you guys are in the right place. Let me just let you know that you are in the right place. I pulled up some notes. Let me check. I want to just go back and forth to my notes here. Okay, dokie. So if you have turned to food or alcohol and now it's beginning to show on your body, or you're at a certain age where food and alcohol you don't move, it doesn't move through you as fast as it once did. And so you're like, well, you're looking down and you're like, what happened to my body? Like, how did this happen? If you've been there, give me a number 2 in the comments. Okay. You're in the right place if you don't feel your body is a reflection of your future radiant self and you want to change it. And give me a number like 2 in the comments, you guys, if this sounds like you. Okay. If you use your body as an excuse as to why you are not on stage or being visible or showing up on camera or video or live stream or even in person, and maybe it's not that, okay, yeah, you're still showing up, but you're not showing up as confidently as you want to be. Okay. This is for you if you're 10 to even 50 pounds overweight. And if you know that you are meant for the stage and you want to be on the stage or on the virtual platform, on video and camera, what have you. And this is for you if you don't have a talk, you don't have your message dialed down, you don't have your signature system, you don't have your program, or maybe like I've worked with clients in the past where I worked with them in one level and then they created a whole new niche and then they wanted to create a whole new program and a whole new signature system. So you're ready for that newness. And I feel like, especially now with so many shifts happening and things are opening back up in some parts of the world, don't you guys just feel like with spring, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, that changes upon us? I feel renewal. I feel things are shifting. The flowers are blooming. It's getting so nice out. So you're ready to go to that next level yourself. So if that is you, you're in the right place. So now I want to tell you guys a story. And this is a story that I haven't shared before, so you will like it. Okay. And I want you to know if you can relate to the story. So there once was a little girl and she was told to conform. And they said, do what I say, get in line, follow the rules, shut up, sit down, listen. Why won't you behave? Why won't you just listen and conform? And this little girl had to wear a uniform to school. And the little Catholic school girl uniform that was like this really disgusting polyester that really didn't feel good on her body. And then the Peter Pan collar. And so this really weird outfit and never feeling comfortable in her body. And this little girl was put in the very front of the classroom. So the teacher was here. And then the little girl was right here behind the teacher. And she was sort of cast out and she was different. Have you guys ever felt in life where you feel different? And so this little girl, she was even silenced and she was even put in a closet multiple times. From the time she was 4 years old, 5 years old, 6, 7, in school settings, she was put in a closet. And because of that and other things in her life, she felt unloved and she felt unseen and unheard, and she felt unworthy and cast out and alone. And yet at the same time, she really felt different. How many of you guys can relate to that you felt different in your life? You felt different and you felt like, I don't really like one of these kids just doesn't fit here, right? One of these kids is doing her own thing. Isn't that a song, right? And so what happened is this little girl, she realized that she was totally different than everyone else. And so what did she do? She felt alone. So she turned to food. She turned to the sweetness of sugar, because like chocolate and Oreos and ice cream, because it helped her feel love. It helped her feel expansive, and this expansive energy of like love and like the sugar rush. And then she would even turn to bread. And so she would like stuff her emotions, and that bread would go in there and it would fill those voids that she had. those voids in the different pockets of her body. And that was there to cover up sadness and anger and pain. And then as this girl grew and grew and grew and grew, she then became a teenager and a college girl. And in these days, she still had to wear the uniform in high school, but she also had a lot more freedom, and she liked to drink alcohol. This girl loved alcohol and loved to party because it allowed her to express her wild side, her crazy side, her like, yeah, this is so fun. And she was like raging and it just allowed her to kind of get crazy and like kind of rebel against all that conformity she had been put against as a young girl. So this was her chance. So she grew and she grew and she grew and she grew. And then she realized, she did all the right things and she got her degree and she even got a master's degree and she was doing these things. And then at one point she woke up, like a lot of you. Give me a 5 in the comments if this is you, where you start surveying the world and you're like, actually, I don't want to do what everyone else is doing. I want to do my own thing. And you're capitalizing on the gift, that spark and that uniqueness that you have always had. So she knew that there was more to life, and she saw all these other greats living life and she wanted it. And most importantly, she knew she could have it because there's evidence out there that other people were doing this, and she knew she could do it. So this little girl, she went for it, and she took big leaps and she jumped off huge cliffs. She learned how to fly and like literally expand and be herself. And she went through cycles and seasons. She had awesome highs where she was writing books and on TV and hosting events and making millions of dollars in her business. And then she'd have like drama still with food and money, because it's all kind of how you do one thing is how you do everything. And then one day, maybe you guys have had this day yourself, or maybe this day is coming for you. But one day, this little girl had a wake up, and it was a wake up that was a blow. It was a life-altering blow. It was a life-changing blow that brought her to her knees to face it all. And maybe you guys have had that moment where you're like, okay, this is your time to grow up. And so this little girl decided to burn the ships on the old. And you know how a lot of times we say, okay, this time is different, I'm changing, but this time for this little girl was in 2017. And she realized that the old had to be cut away, and she permanently shut the door on the old, and she took her power back, and she had a resurrection power, like resurrection power, you guys, a rebirth. And she looked around again at all the greats, and she said, and she saw one thing, all these greats that we all look up to, we all do their webinars, we do their teleclasses, we read their books, okay? We might even hear about them on Oprah or something, right? And so she's like, okay, they all have God. They definitely have a good connection with God and spirituality. They all have this awesome, healthy body. They've transformed their body. And they also have financial freedom. And they have incredible relationships and family. And so this little girl, she dove in and researched how to do it. And then she's been building it. And then she created this program called the Moxley Method for speakers, and another program called Remove Your Body Barrier. And that is what we're going to talk about today. So are you guys excited? So obviously that story is all about you getting in your power and claiming your power and taking your power back, because there is a part inside of you that if you're attracted to me or anyone else that you're seeing, you know that you are meant for that greatness and you have to claim it, and it's up to you to claim it. So who is ready to claim their power now? Give me a yes. Like, are you guys like literally ready to claim it? Because if you're really ready to claim it, then you're going to love this talk. Okay. So I'm going to give you 3 key things in today's talk. So the first thing I'm going to tell you all about is the 4-step, what did I call it? The 4-step system, 4-step body transformation system to shed the old and shine like gold on stage. The second thing I'm going to teach you is how to confidently craft a client attractive talk by turning your story into money-making gold. And then how to make 6 figures from one talk that solves the plane is crashing problem. Sound good? Okay, so here we're going to start. So basically my 4-step body transformation system. The first thing that you want to do, and it's an F system. I like alliteration. So the first piece of this puzzle is you got to get your fuel right. So your fuel, what do you guys think fuel is? Exactly. So your water. And so maybe you guys are like me, where before I started on this process, I didn't really know how much food, how many calories. I didn't know anything about macros. I didn't know anything about how many gallons of water I was drinking, how much I weighed. I didn't know how many grams of protein I was eating. I didn't know how many grams of sugar. I didn't know any of this stuff. Even though I was a health coach, I chose to not look at that stuff. I didn't want to be boggled down by the calories and the details of things. You might have been like me, where I actually had not weighed myself since 2005 for 13, well, and then I weighed myself again in like 2017. So literally I went 12, is that 12 years? 12 years without weighing myself. When I was pregnant, I backed into the scale because it would give me this all or none. If it was the right weight, I would be happy and I'd go celebrate with some sugar. If it was a weight I didn't like, I'd go sabotage with some sugar. So maybe you're not really sure what you're eating. And so you're just kind of ignoring it, or you're just like, I'll do it later. So you guys, if you want to be vulnerable and share, like, how are you currently dealing with your body stuff, where you're not tracking, and there are no guardrails. It's kind of like you might go to an extreme where you're going to say, okay, well, I want to be a flexitarian. That's what I called myself. I'll eat whatever I want when I want. And then I realized, I would just be eating sugar because I could. So there's no guardrails, there's no plan, and there's no clue. Does that sound like anyone? Okay. And so where you want to be is you actually want to have a prescription for radiance. You want to have an idea of like your perfect healthy radiant diet. So you're eating like up to 6 vegetables a day. You're drinking over a gallon of water a day. You know your macros, you know how much. So when I realized, because I wasn't tracking, was that I had no clue on how much I was eating, how much I was eating, why I was eating. And I realized that I was actually eating way less than I needed to be eating for the fact that I'm very, very active. So we want to really track our food. We want to track, not in a anal way, but just to give you an idea and a gauge. How many of you guys are tracking your food or have tracked food before? Because it just kind of shows it in black and white. Yeah. So I just started to do that over this last year. Yes. So the next F after fuel is you really want to understand you have to get your fitness in order. So your fitness, again, same thing. You guys, right now, maybe you don't have a plan. Maybe you don't have a clue. You don't have any, you think you're walking a lot. So one thing I did is I got my, everyone's got like a smart watch, but I have a basic, it's smart, but it's not like an iPhone watch because I don't want that technology on my body. But now I'm tracking and I have the guardrail of I hit 10 to 12,000 steps a day. So do you have, or in terms of your fitness, how many days a week are you actually exercising? And are you maybe doing like so much cardio that honestly, they say that a lot of cardio is really not that great for us, that we actually need to be doing weight bearing exercise. We need to be doing strength training, especially as we're aging. So maybe you don't have a plan for fitness. Maybe you're not doing any fitness, or maybe you think you're doing more. How many of you guys think you're doing more than you actually are? Or maybe you're doing way more than you thought you were, or you have no clue what you're doing, or you avoid the whole thing. I was getting my hair done and we did this core exercise this morning in my class, and it was like so hard to get deep into the core. And I talked to my hairdresser and I was like, oh my gosh, I was like crying. It was so hard. She's like, I wouldn't even know. I don't even exercise. So maybe you're like her. Yes. So you need to add the weight training. Good. So the next F is all about focus. And the focus is the number one distractor that I see. And a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs, we have major ADD. We have bright, shiny object syndrome, and we're looking here and we're looking there for the answer, and we don't have our own prescription for radiance. And so we're losing our focus. We're totally distracted. all these notifications coming all the time. And you're constantly like going on webinars, or you're going on YouTube videos or podcasts, and you're reading all these books, but you're not applying them to your life. You're not actually integrating them. You're like a learning sponge, but not a JFDI action taker. And so you have to really focus. You got to focus your vision on, okay, do you guys know what your ideal body weight is and what it is that you really want? Like what your vision is, what that looks like, what that feels like. And then with your focus part is about lining up your emotions, because a lot of people when they're changing their body, they will do this thing. You'll have a cycle and a season where you will say, okay, I am going to go and transform my body. And so you're very focused, like Denise doing the 75-day hard challenge right now, and you do it and you're so committed and you're making it happen. And I love that. And then you get really close to your body weight that you wanted to change to. And then what do? You're like, well, I'm a thin person now, so I can eat whatever I want and I can drink whatever I want because I'm thin. And because I'm just a thin person. And I know that I have done that. It's just kind of like, it's the same thing with money. It's like, well, I'm very successful. I just had a huge monetary win. So I just can spend all this money because I'm rich. But it's the same. Can anyone relate to that? So then how you do one thing is how you do everything. So with your focus, you have to have a plan. You got to have a really solid plan with your focus and have those guardrails up. I'm a huge fan of those guardrails, just like those boundaries that keep us safe and keep us secure and contained. So can anyone guess what the next F is going to be? Oh, wow. Okay, good, Denise. Okay, good. I love this. Ooh, congratulations. That is a sign. Okay. Anyone want to share what they think the next F is going to be? I will tell you. Okay. So the next F is about fashion. It's fashion. So what I mean by fashion is you want to be on brand. You want your look and your feel of your makeup, your eyes, your hair, your dress, your clothing, because when you go speak on stage, if you're presenting to virtual world, you want to have your fashion right so that you are in alignment with your brand, alignment with your values, and alignment with your value. The value of what it is you're asking and the price point you're asking people to invest in or take that next step with you. So you really want to get the right branding, the right colors. Those can be the props. Like I'll show you guys like my JFDI cup. Like you want to be able, when you're on stage virtually or in person, you want to have the right props. You want to have so that you are living on brand. You are living in embodiment and in alignment with that super successful you. Does that make sense? So that is the fourth. So those key things. And I'm going to read you a quick little quote. Let's see, where did I put it? So let me know, you guys, what is resonating with you so far about this? Are there any ahas? Are there any action steps you want to take based on this? All right. Well, I'll read this tip. So reading 20 pages per day is 30 books a year. Saving $10 per day is saving $3,650. That's just $10 a day. Running 1 mile per day is 365 miles per year. Doable. 1 mile, you're going to run 365 miles. Becoming 1% better per day is 37 times better per year. That's huge. So small habits are underestimated. So what this comes down to in the fitness, fuel, fashion, and focus is knowing where you're headed, having that prescription for radiance, having those guardrails, and then backing that up into a consistent daily habits that you are tracking in all areas of your life. And then staying committed. So when it gets hard and you want to quit, that is really when the gold happens. So when you want to quit, when your ego, a lot of like male coaches I listen to, they call it the voice of the little bitch, which I don't necessarily like to use. But people say that. They say, okay, you're a little bitch. So I don't know what you guys want to call it. To me, I don't really like that word. So I just call it, it's just the voice of resistance. So monkey mind, exactly, Denise. So we have to, like, I've done many challenges. I started this transformation in the summertime, where in the summertime, I did this thing called 50-50-50 with one of my childhood friends. And I was doing 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, and 50 squats a day. And if we didn't do it, then if I didn't do it for all 30 days, I had to bike up Little Cottonwood Canyon, which would be like 11 miles of hell. So and then if my friend didn't do it, he would have to watch my kids, which he is a bachelor, he doesn't want to do. He's a friend I've had since childhood. So you want to have those guardrails, right? You want to have those guardrails. And the truth is all those days, many, many days of doing that. And then I did the 75-day hard challenge, and then I did another 30 days. All of those days that I felt the most resistance, and I did it, that's when the breakthrough happened. So what I want you to know is whenever you're resisting, that is the gift. That is a gift. And if you actually do the thing, you will break through. So I want to ask you guys, what is one thing, and I want you to put it in the comments, what is one thing you've been resisting? One thing you don't want to do. What is that one thing that you don't want to do? Put it in the comments, because there is a lot of leverage. If you bust through that thing, on the other side of that, massive transformation. So, yes, the transformation is real. So these 4 pieces here of this body transformation, this comes down to habits and tracking those habits and putting guardrails in place for each area of your life. So out of these 4 areas, which one has the biggest pull for you? Is it the food? Is it the fuel? That's the same thing. Is it food and fuel? Is it fitness? Is it focus? Or is it the fashion part? Meaning your branding and your colors. And the other thing about the fashion, it's also about sharing your journey on social media, so that you're monetizing your life. You're taking people on the journey with you. You're being vulnerable and you're sharing the journey in the emotional moment as you're going through. So I want to hear from you guys, which one represents the most growth? Okay, Denise, food. I was just getting enough sleep and drinking enough water. Good, Julie. Probably focus. Everything else falls into place when I stay focused. Yes. Everything is time for the news that my time is now. Thank you, Amanda. Monkey mind, drink enough water. Okay. So here's a tip for the water. I went to TJ Maxx, which I love, and I got this half a gallon of water. And then I just know if I drink 2 of these a day, it's a gallon. And so that's a tip. So if you just have that there and you're just like, I got to drink that. So you need the guardrail, you need the container. Okay, the food, because we can do all the exercise in the world, but what do they say? Like abs start in the kitchen. It's not even about exercise so much. It's more about the food. So we really got to focus on the food. And the food is like so emotionally packaged. Okay, so let's keep going. So next thing we want to do, now that you're in this place of being, and when I work with my clients in my program, Speak Your Way to Success, it really comes down to who are they being and how are they showing up? Because a lot of them will have resistance because they might feel, yesterday I had my call and the women were saying, one of the women said, okay, well, I feel like my message and what I have to share in my story is like everybody else. Who wants to listen to my story? Who wants to hear what I have to say? Because my program and what I learned, everyone else is doing it. Have any of you guys ever had that thought? Have you ever thought that, like, what's the point? Everybody else is doing the same thing. So I'll tell you what the shift is. The shift is, it's about your story. So your story is the thing that's going to make absolutely everything different and unique for you. So with this beautiful client, her name is Noreen. What set her apart is that she got married at like 45, for the first time. She has a successful career as a salesperson in her business or in her company for like 20 years. She trained with Tony Robbins 20 plus years ago. She had all the success in the past. And now she's transformed her body. And now she is also giving to her local food bank and is on the board. And she's like super philanthropic. And she has a unique story with finding the love of her life later on in life and transforming her body. And so I said, but your story is your story, and that is unique to you. And if I was trying to tell your story, or if I'm telling my story, people are going to listen to me because I'm a version of them, but they're going to listen to you because you're a version of them. And each of you guys in your story holds a certain key to your client's heart to help them unlock something that's holding them back. So another client was saying her friends were coming up to her and saying, hey, I really love how courageous you are. I love how you're always taking these leaps of faith and you're going for your dreams. And she was like, she didn't think of that was that special. And I'm like, whatever the people are telling you guys, they admire about you, they like about you, that is your secret sauce. So I want you to write down, what are some things that people have come up to you recently and said, hey, Katie, I love this about you. You really inspire me when you do this. I love this, or I love that, or this or that. Okay. So that is your unique genius. You are so inspirational. Exactly. You are, Denise. So that is your gift. And you just being you is enough. But here's the deal. A lot of people, they're not using their story because they're afraid to be vulnerable, or they are afraid that if they share it, that it's going to position them in a place of weakness. Or the other problem I see with people sharing their story is that they are too vulnerable. And it's like kind of uncomfortable because you're sitting there and you're kind of triggered by this person's story. Have you guys ever been there where you're like in an audience and the speaker's going on and on about their story? And you're like, oh my God, I just want to go hug him and give him a tissue and tell him it's going to be okay. I mean, so there's a delicate balance between being vulnerable and then showcasing your expert. So this is, a lot of you guys don't like to brag. You don't like to say, hey, this is how successful, these are the great things I've done. Like Denise was like nominated like Teacher of the Year in Iowa, right? So she's written this book with Jack Canfield. She's done all these things. And so like, what are some things that you guys have done? This is your chance to brag about it. So even when I shared my story today, did you feel connected to me? Did you feel a place of vulnerability, but did you also feel a place of strength? So it wasn't like I was making you feel uncomfortable, but I was also showcasing my expert status of like, hey, I've done all these successful things. And so that there's a balance between success and vulnerability. And that is key, that you want to really integrate that. And then you want to work on your limiting beliefs that you might have about not wanting to share your story. So Denise is perfect because when she hired me back in the beginning of last year, the end of last year, she had this story that she had never shared. She literally hadn't shared it. It happened when she was 13. And so she shared the story with me. And then now it's like the opener in all of her talks. So sometimes our stories, you guys, we first tell our stories for ourselves so we can come clean, so we can be free. And then once we become free, then that story is not for us, it's for the people. So a lot of the people I work with, I tell them, I'm like, you didn't go through all that just so you could go to your grave with that story. God gave you that story. You went through that. Your mess is your message. Yeah, the story becomes our essence. And so that story is a gift, and you want to use that story. How many of you guys are sitting on some stories right now that you have not shared? I know I have one that I haven't shared yet because it's super vulnerable, but I'm on my way to share it. Okay. Another reason I notice people, they'll use their story as an excuse as to why you can't get out there. So they have a story about their story. And so what the key is if you guys can turn your story into money-making gold and understand that your story is that which sets you apart. But you have to cultivate your story, and you have to go through a lot of your stories in order to pull out the right story. So you kind of like when my clients work with me in Speak Your Way to Success, some of them write 37 pages of their story for me. And I read it, I love it. I've always been the person that loves people's story. And so a lot of times you have stories about your story and then you don't know what story to choose. So I'm going to give you a quick tip about that. So the best thing to do is you're going to find your story that is for your clients and it's for your audience. So your story, you're going to be telling them. So the reason I chose my story today is because I want to support you guys in stepping into your power and fully deciding to grow up and fully deciding to claim your power, get in your power, be bold, be brave, be brilliant. And so for you, you tell that story for them. You're not telling the story for yourself. You first tell the story for yourself, and then you tell the story for them. Let's see what you guys are saying. Oh, yeah. It's important that we tell it, not tell it. What if your story causes division in families? I thought that might happen, but it didn't. Exactly. So it's a very good question because a lot of stories. So what I do is I make the character anonymous. I make the character kind of neutral, and I make it not personal. So I don't use names or, okay, it was my mom or it was my dad. I take responsibility when I tell the story. And one other thing you can do is tell your parents or your family members, listen, like I had a client that was like, this is really sad. She was raped by a cousin. And so before she went and told her story, my coaching for her was to write a letter to her family because they knew about it. And there was a huge division. It was horrible. But so she wrote a letter to her family and explained it to them first. And she's like, I want to just come to you first, come clean on this and let you know my work is to help people and help other women in this situation. And so I'm using this story. This isn't about you. I have forgiven you. I love you. I'm on the other side. I'm keeping you anonymous, but I have to do this life's work. Yeah. Oh, okay. The success that it's had. Well, then the positive is you just have to, I don't know the whole story, Katie, but I would just say, I would just still have those conversations with those people. And then I would still come clean on your story, because your story is it for you or is it for the people you're here to help? It's for the people you're here to help and inspire and uplift and shift. It's not for you or even about the story. It's about who you're helping and your audience. Does that help? I hope so. Okay. What if it's a challenge to keep it anonymous? In my case, it's my mom. So you just kind of make gray details. I mean, I told some stories when I was going through a lot of money healing years back. I told a story about how my parents on the night I had money wounds story, and I was like, and so a lot of your money wounds start when you're a child and in the crib, and if you were brought home and from the hospital and your parents let you cry in your room. That shit pissed my mom off really. So there is a delicate balance. And then my mom brought up all this stuff to me years later, and I was like, well, why didn't you say anything? That was just my story. So you might want to talk to your parent or write them a note and just say, I'm doing this for them, doing this for my audience. I'll keep you anonymous. You can pretend it's an aunt. You can say it's your client's story if you needed to. There's ways to dance around it. But at the same time, when I wrote my End Your Money Drama book, I gave a copy to my mom because she's like, I want to see what the heck you're putting in there. She never read it. And then I said to my dad, I said, do you want to read this? Because there's a whole chapter about my dad. And my dad said, no, that's your story. And even today he was like, do you want me to comment on your Facebook post, or is that your business? And I was like, no, feel free. So or you can educate your family members and tell them that I am using my social media platforms for my business. If you want to unfriend me now, this would be a great time. If you want to just keep it that way. Yeah. So the possibility is that you have you find one solid story, and then you mine your past with the gold, and then you use that story as a part. Basically, you find your story, then you create your signature system. Like, these are the steps you take, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that you took to go from A to Z. So then out of your story, you create a signature system. And then out of your signature system, you're creating your program. And so that is the possibility once you nail down your story. And then you keep working on your story, perfecting your story, and allow that to be a hook that draws people in and connects them to your heart and your soul, as well as to what is possible for them. Okay, so that was number 2. So the third one is how to make 6 figures from one hot talk that solves the plane's crashing problem. Okay, how many of you guys have a talk right now? Okay, so a talk could be a webinar, it could be a seminar, it could be a Facebook Live, it could be a book or ebook, it could be really anything, but your talk is that thing that is just like this power hour that brings your body of work together. And at the end of that, you are then offering them the next step to either buy your book, book a consultation with you, go to your retreat, go to your workshop, go buy your mastermind, book a call. So you want to have a really powerful talk. And what's possible is my talk that I have, another talk besides this one, has generated over 650,000. And then I was able to take that talk. So once you have a talk, you can repurpose it in multiple ways. So I took my talk and then I made it a book, my book called 6 Figure Speaker. I took my talk and I took it into a 3-day event. I took my talk and I made it into a 5-day challenge. So there's lots of ways to repurpose your talk. So I'll just tell you some components of the talk. And the key is that, so you've got your introduction, you have this is for you if, so you want to know, like, at the beginning of this call, we had more people on the call. And now as I've been going, when you say, hey, this call is for you if, that allows you to say, hey, grab the people who it's for and say, this is for you if. Okay, then you tell your story. And your story is usually 5 to 7 minutes. It's not too long, but it's not too short. And your story is in a way that it positions you as the expert, and it also shows your vulnerable status, that you are relatable and that you can help them. And then out of that story is like, and by the way, that is where I created my signature system or my program or my path to help you. Okay, then you do the body of your talk. And the body of the talk are those 3 to 5 bullet points. And those bullet points are a preview of your program. It's like everything I've told you guys today, those are just little morsels of yummy nuggets of my Speak Your Way to Success program. So your talk, then you're giving really good value, because in your talk, you don't want to just give a talk that anyone could just Google this information. If someone's going to spend an hour with you, you want to give some really good value, but you also want to keep them hungry for wanting more of you. So you want them to want more of you. And then you want to have success stories in there to showcase that you know what you're doing and this is how you can help people. And there's social proof. Then you want to engage people in your talk, and then you want to tell them how to take the next step. And a lot of people, especially beginners, they forget this part. They forget to hit record. They forget, they're having so much fun serving that they forget to invite people to take that next step. So if anything, you want to practice your call to action. I had a client, Marlo, and she had this incredible story. Her husband had died tragically, and middle-aged, and she just knew, she kind of lived under his wing forever. Then his passing, it was her time to shine. It was her time to be in the spotlight. So she came to me to put together her story, her program, and her talk. And then she went to do her talk, and she had her program and everything. She forgot to hit record. She forgot to give her call to action. That's okay. We can always redo it. I've done all those things too. So you really want to practice that call to action. And generally that part is the part that makes people feel uncomfortable, because you don't want to be salesy. The truth is that you're in business. You're not running a charity yet. Do that when you're older, or at the same time, but at the same time you're for profit. Okay. So this is what you need to do. But in order to do all these things, you have to make sure that your body is in alignment, your mind and focus are in alignment, and also you are congruent and you're showing up as your best self visibly to connect to those clients. So that is how you become a happy, fit, and rich speaker. So how many of you guys want to be a happy and fit, rich speaker? Okay, good. So let me tell you how we're going to do that. So let me give you an example of a call to action. So I have a program called Speak Your Way to Success, and Denise is a graduate of it. And what we are doing here is, I am super excited because I've been running this program, has a highly effective success rate, where people design their signature talk, create their seminar story and their program, and then start speaking, and they're enrolling 3 to 5 clients with every talk they deliver. And so what happens though, what I have decided is I'm have my Speak Your Way to Success program, but I'm also adding on 4 additional weeks to the program all around the body barrier, where I'm gonna set you up with fitness, with fuel, with fashion, and also with focus. Because I know that so many people use this body barrier as an excuse to not get visible and to not be seen and get out there and put this stuff together. So I decided, I'm passionate about this. I have been embodying this, working on this since the summer, doing many things. And it's something I'm passionate about, not to mention for many years, 6 years, I was a health coach. So I'm bringing all that, integrating that into my Speak Your Way to Success program. So this is just an additional value I'm working on. I was talking to my team before, and they said, okay, so you want us to put together the sales page? And they're like, okay, well, is the price point higher? Is it the same price point? And I was like, and I said, no, it's the same. I'm just adding 4 more weeks and it's Speaking Your Way to Success. He goes, okay, so same price and more value. I can't argue with that. So it's the same program, but how it works. Okay, so basically it's a 90-day program. The first 4 weeks, we're diving deep into the body. And then throughout the 90 days, you're going to be doing habit tracking. You're going to be doing the fitness, the fuel, and the focus and the fashion. So that's going to be like the base layer we're weaving through. Then you're going to be working on your story. You're going to create your seminar story. You're going to create your signature talk. I personally review your talk, read your story, because this is a done with you program. And then I'm going to help you launch it. So you're going to go live with your talk and then enroll. I mean, it's up to you how many people you want to enroll. I've had in clients, so you're going to create your program, or maybe you're selling a book or you're selling whatever you're selling, but you're going to be able to do your call to action to enroll up to, 5 to 10 to 3 to 10 clients with every talk you deliver. Does that sound like something that is doable for you guys? Is it something that you can see yourself wanting to do? Okay, good. Does anyone have any questions about it? or maybe, okay. So maybe Denise, do you want to share a little bit about what it was like? So when are we starting? Okay, great. Okay, you want to hear more? Okay. So Denise, do you want to share a little testimonial about the program? And I'll tell you guys all.
I can tell you what the program did for me at the time that I signed up. I signed up with Amanda about a month before I was to pivot, because it was 2020, right? We could do nothing live, and everything I'd ever been trained to do was live. I was going to do a virtual class to learn how to do. I'm a certified Canfield trainer, and I was going to learn how to do those trainings online, which I had never done. And believe me, I am of the generation that I have a cartoon that shows it. The teacher is hiding under her desk, and at the door is the principal and the tech person saying, "Oh, don't worry, Mrs. Miller, it's just another teaching tool." That's how I was exposed to a computer. Okay, with 25 kids sitting in my room and no time and no training to use it. So that's how I started with it. So I thought, I'm going to face my fear. I'm going to do this virtual camp, but I have to be able to put my own stories into these to make them really powerful online. Because if I'm telling somebody else's story and I'm not really there, I'm not going to connect like I would if I was there in person. So I actually had to learn how to tell my personal stories that I hadn't told anyone in 50 years. So imagine the depth of fear that is around doing that. And Amanda looked at me that day. I actually started to read it, which, I don't need to read these stories. I've lived them. And she said, "Denise, speak from your heart. I want you to try this, speaking from your heart on this." I said, I don't know if I can do that, but I'll try. And so I redid it. And then when I did the virtual boot camp, I was able to put my stories in there, and people were just going, their jaws were dropping. And I went, so I have been afraid of telling this story, and it's had immense impact on people and is changing people's lives. This is not about me.
Right.
This is about serving and really telling a story that needs to be told so it can inspire and help other people. So that's what Amanda's program. Now, I'm going to send to you, Amanda, my chapter. I actually wrote my chapter for a book that I'm doing now. There's tons of signature stories because I did a poem, I did a story, and then I did a quote, and they're all mine in the whole story.
Right, nice. Oh, cool.
All the way through from decade to decade. So I'm going to send that to you because I want you to see. You will see my signature stories in those. So you will see my signature poems in those, and you will see quotes.
Good.
And
brilliant.
That's the programs I'm going to do. I'm going to be doing. I started a Facebook page. Yeah. All of this happened because I started working with Amanda. On February 1st, I launched my Facebook page, The Educator's Edge.
Yep.
And we had 172 people the first month. So I knew there was a need there to support educators in their self-care and personal growth.
Yeah.
So all of this is happening, and it really is about being vulnerable and realizing that by you sharing your story, you're sharing your soul.
Yes.
And when you share your soul, you can serve, but you can't serve unless you're willing to share your soul.
I love it. That's good. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah. So Denise graduated, I guess, probably in February. So basically when it starts is what you need to do is you need to book a call with me, and you go to amandamoxley.com/apply. I'll put it in here, and we'll have a conversation. And then how it works is there's 3 different layers of the program. The first layer is the first layer is I have this membership site, and in the membership site you have a weekly video and a weekly training book guidebook is what I call it. And Denise can show you the guidebook if you want, Denise. She has like this huge, she printed everything out. Look at, she look at, so this is Speaker Way to Success, and it's this huge guidebooks every single week of literally how-to scripts, templates, step by step what you need to do in order to put all these pieces together. And from there, we come together for a small group laser coaching Q&A every single week. And that's where I laser in on on you. So it's a done with you program. Lasering in on you, I'm kicking your booty, just like she was reading her talk to me and she was sitting there reading it, and I was like, Denise, ditch your notes. And so you get laser coaching every single week. And then in between the weekly sessions, you're going to get email access with me, where I read your seminar story, review your signature talk, help you, figure out your ideal client, figure out where maybe you're dealing with one of your 4 Fs as well. So you can email me, get support, give me a Facebook message. I really want to support you guys in making all this happen. So you get the accountability, you get the support, and then there's guest expert trainings and all the other pieces of the marketing puzzle. So you'll get that. And then you will get the templates, the tools. I think I'm missing something. So that's the acceleration level. I also have a VIP level, which is everything I just said, plus monthly one-on-one coaching with me for those 3 months. So we would just, when we have our conversation, we would decide which one of those would be the best fit for you. And then I have multiple different payment plans for it. I can tell you the price. Do you guys want, do you have any questions about what I just shared? Does it sound, go ahead, Lynette.
So I have a question. Yeah. So when you say you're going through this and we're going to create that signature talk, what is your objective at the end of this? That we're giving that we're out there making it happen, like maybe in the middle someplace, so that we get the feedback and we can say, okay, we're this far or whatever.
Yes.
And how does that kind of fit into what you?
So my goal, everybody's different, and I recommend a power hour a day. And if you can do a power hour a day and you stay on task, okay, and you especially, here's what was getting in the way for people's timing, is that they were allowing their body barrier to get in the way. Their mind stuff, their focus, their emotions, their body, their image, all this stuff was getting in the way. So if we can line that up into a consistent daily habit that you're tracking, so you're doing that and building this out, you can write your talk. So by week 4 is your talk. So ideally, I had clients do this. They did everything in 1 week. I don't recommend that because they just burst out of the gates and then they blew up. So what I recommend is that you take it week by week by week. But the key is, if you do this talk during the time, you're going to be making the money back that you're investing to actually get the coaching. So
okay. I was thinking Denise was saying something, sorry. Okay, so as we are moving forward, because I was just thinking about what you said, because it is my mom in my case, and it's tough. But then I was thinking, okay, but maybe that's not the only signature story, because I have several others. So maybe I use the other, and then that just might be a side thing. And so, but I need some help in putting that all together and making sure that because they obviously need to link. So how they link, that leads to the program being, that they want to sign up, because I make them this, what did you call it? I have the words.
Call to action.
Call to action. Yes. The name just went out the window. Sorry, I know that. So when I do my call to action, that they want to respond, but I'm thinking that I could use several stories that makes it so that one's not, oh, whoa, this is what it is, because I can't do that until she's no longer around. And so I need to be careful, but maybe that would be, do you see what I'm saying? So you're going to help me figure out how those fit and help with that to make it move forward.
Because a lot of times you can have like a front end story and then back end, like in a more intimate, when you're working with your clients, that's when you could share that. Or when you're sharing a particular module in your system, that's when that story is, when it's not on the front lines where this family member would see it.
Yeah. Or somebody else would see it and say, oh, that would not be good
Exactly.
either.
So that would be reserved for the people who have already invested to work with you, and then you're in a closer relationship, and then you could share it.
Okay.
Yeah, but to answer your question, yes. So you write up, so week 2 is all about the seminar story. So you write up your seminar story, and that goes all the way back from as far back in your life as you want to go.
Right.
So you go all the way back, and then I help mine that path with the gold and pick out that story for that talk and that offer for your call to action.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have any questions about the programs, We Go Way to Success, plus the body barrier?
I have another one.
Okay.
And I may have missed this because I had to step away for just a second. We had an emergency downstairs. Sorry. When you talk about the body barrier, so that would be like in the fitness and the fuel and that kind of thing to make us so we're feeling good when we're up on stage.
Yes.
Okay.
And just feeling like your very best, even if it's not on stage, but doing it for you.
Yeah.
Even though of course you're going to be on stage. So it's the fuel, the fitness, the fashion, and the focus. So it's about your body and your being.
I once was a coach on ABC4 Good Morning Utah, and I remember telling the state of Utah that I needed to lose 20 pounds. And I decided I should never have said that, because when you're on camera, you're, in those cameras, they gain 400 pounds on a view. And yeah, it was very intimidating. I taught myself on that one. Maybe don't tell, however many millions of viewers that you're going to lose 20 pounds. It was interesting, but
Who watches TV anyway?
this was back in the day when they did. So yeah, you're right.
I love it. Well, there you go. Did you ever release? And I don't like to use the word lose, because if we lose something, we have to find it. So I like to use the word release. Did you ever release those 20 pounds?
I did release those 20 pounds, but then I found other ones that I could bring on. So those went away, but I found more, I guess is how I could say it. So yeah, I still need to go back, but.
Okay. Yeah. So the truth is that weight is a lot of times about protection, and it's energy, and it's about creating a new identity. You want to create a new identity as a fit, healthy, strong, happy, fit, rich speaker.
Yeah,
So
I like how you say that.
We're creating a new identity.
Yeah.
We're releasing the old and really creating that new identity of this is who I am.
And I love how you make it feel like it's powerful and strong. I really appreciate that about you. You always make it feel like we're coming at this from a powerful and strong place. So thank you for that encouragement always from you. It's great.
Oh, I love that. You're welcome. Okay, so I love it. Any other questions, Lynette?
Not at the moment, but I'll have some for you.
Okay, right on. So you guys can book a call. So Julie, so I'll tell you guys the price just so you're up front about it. So I don't know if any of this, it's a good question. So I would ask you, and I ask this, is number one, how committed are you guys on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, to having a successful talk, being a powerful speaker, and having that congruity with your body? Because the commitment level, this isn't going to come easily. You're going to have to do the work. You're going to have to show up. You're going to have to release some things and change some habits. So you need to have a level 10 commitment. And so you need to be honest with that part. So if you guys want to write that down, you want to put it in the comments, because your commitment is really where the shift happens. Because when you commit, like I said in 2017, when I finally decided, I burned those ships and I permanently closed those doors, and I got in my power and I grew up, then it's like the universe rearranges itself because I've decided. And yes, and so you have to decide. And then people that do well in this program, they're also highly coachable, and they do the work. They're action takers. They're what I call JFDI action takers. You have to do the action. Otherwise it'll be a waste of money. And I don't like to babysit, I'm sweet and loving, but I also kick your butt. Okay. Yeah, we always have different options for sure. And so the other thing is coachable, resourceful, and action taker. So how would you guys rate yourself on being an action taker? And what I think is, like I read you those stats, 1 power hour a day. If you do that 1 power hour a day, you will make this happen. And so this is a step-by-step process. And it's just like running. If you do it, it works. So, and then there are different price points, but because, but this one, you're getting the weekly coaching with me and you're getting this whole system. And the other thing with this system is that you're going to have lifetime access to the membership site. And once you develop one talk and you know the formula for a talk, then you can repeat it over and over and over again. But you can have a different talk, a different system, and a different ideal client and a different program. So once you learn it, you can repurpose it. So I learned how to do this 15 years ago. Now I have my little formula, and then I tweak it for every talk. In fact, today I went back to my talk I haven't done one of these in a long time, but in like a year ago, or half a year ago, and I went and I was like, okay, and I just kind of copy and pasted in my formula. So anyway, so that's like the lifetime value of that. So the normal investment for this program is $7,000, and that's for the 90 days. What I offer is I have a fast action scholarship, and I also call that a JFDI scholarship. Just effing do it. Because I feel like making these decisions is a combination of emotion and logic, right? Logically, we need to see, hey, if I just do this, this, and this, I can justify the investment because I can see if I do the work, I'll get it back, right? And it has to be emotional. You have to want it. You have to have the desire, and you have to have the pull. And so my JFDI scholarship is I take 2,000 off, and it's 5,000. So you guys, my dog just came down here for for that. Hi, Noons. So you guys are getting, so normally this program doesn't have the additional body barrier training. So you're going to get that as well. So it's going to be awesome. So, hi, Noons. So any questions about, do you guys want to hear anything else about the price? Payment plan options, got it. So there's a couple of ways to pay it. So you can do one payment of 5,000. You can do 2 payments of 2,600 within 30 days. You can do, because I'm financing it, or you could do 4 payments of 1,497. So it's more because I'm financing it over the 4 months. Any other questions?
We're all so quiet.
Yeah. Denise, what was it like for you to invest $5,000 into this program? I think you're muted.
I think the question that you asked me that really put me over the edge, and I shared this when I had my graduate FaceTime, Facebook Live with you. You asked me, where will you be in 6 months if you don't do what you're telling me you want to do? Which I wanted to get over my fear of telling my story, because I'd invested in this virtual boot camp, and I couldn't do it unless I figured out how, I needed a template. I needed somebody to coach me. I'm very coachable. I needed somebody to be there to encourage me, but to honestly tell me what I needed to do. So for me, it was a no-brainer that I needed to do this. And anytime you invest in yourself, that is the best thing you can ever invest in, because it's you.
Right.
You're going to get the result because it's on you. It's 100% responsibility on you to make it happen. So I figured, gee, I've invested in some things that had I didn't have control over, but I have control over this because it's going to be my mindset that makes it happen.
Yeah.
So that question for me was like, oh, this is a no-brainer. I'm going to do it.
Right. Because the time's going to come and you're either going to be, that's the thing about these habits and this tracking too, is how do you know what your future is? Well, look at your today. And so it comes down to your decisions and commitments and focus. So if you guys want to talk to me further about it, you can go ahead and book a call at amandamoxley.com/apply. Or if you know you want to join me in this awesome program. So the first call you will have will be on Monday, by the way. You decide to JFDI today. We will start on Monday. And how it will work is you will get the welcome packet. You're going to fill out an awesome welcome packet that is detailed and figure out where you are, where you want to go, get your goals lined up in there. Like here, this is Amanda, this is what I want, this is where I'm going, which is very cathartic. And then you'll get the membership site. And then before Monday, you can get started on the first week. So.
How many people do you usually have in a program that you put through like this?
So I've, at this point, that are on the calls, they're between like 4 to 10. So it's pretty intimate.
Okay.
I just had Denise and 3 or 4 other women graduate. So we just graduated like 5. And so right now I'm filling the group back up.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Because the last one I did, that was like 100 people and you can't get really good conversation. We get a lot more in this group here than,
Mm-hmm.
it was
Oh
like,
yeah. You're going to get weekly. And then if you don't show up, I track you down. There's a woman on the call, Julia, who is in Australia. And guess what time it was during our call?
2 in the morning or something.
Yeah, 3 a.m. And she was on there totally committed. It was pitch dark. I was like, I can't see you through the light. She's like, no, I'm not really. But anyway, yeah. So it is an intimate